crispy.
Alright, y'all, welcome back to another episode of Figures in Action. And today is Super Sunday. Today, our homeboy Tom Brady, who no longer plays for the New England Patriots, is attempting to win another Super Bowl championship. So wherever we went from, I'll be going to my boy's crib in a little while to watch the game. But in the meantime, I got to do this video, as this is actually I think one of the first times that a client is going to come pick this dio up personally. I don't get a lot of clients in state. I've gone a couple, and yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the first time someone's coming to pick up a diorama. So I already took the pictures. Let's go over all the details, and away we go. So was contacted, and this particular person wanted they wanted an abandoned church that got turned into a bar nightclub that in turn got turned into like a hangout. That was the kind of the direction. I have worked at a church that was turned into a bar, and it wasn't a hangout, but it was a bar. But before it was a bar, that church that I worked at, there was a time when I was a kid that they had a wrestling ring in there. There was, or maybe it was a boxing ring, but there was that space that I worked at, which by the way just got condemned the other day. It was kind of wild. And actually, the bottom level of that church was a daycare center, preschool, and all three of my kids went to the preschool, but my two younger kids went to that particular location. Anyway, so he wanted like a hangout type of situation. So my first thought was like, word, I'm just gonna go back to my memory banks in terms of what the culture center is where I worked. It was called the Villa Victoria Center for the Arts, but for a long time everybody just called it the Villa Victoria Center or the Culture Center. So the Culture Center, great memories. I was able to kind of backtrack and remember that we did have like a rolling bar that was that color. We had some shelving. Most bars will always have that mirror, so when the bartender is preparing a drink, he or she can see what's happening behind him or her. He ended up, and then so the idea here is this is supposed to be kind of a stained glass, or it was a pretty fancy stained glass at some point when this was a church. Stained glass after a while kind of starts to collapse, so they just replaced it with some colors to give it that same feel. He actually before we got started, he's like, I have some props. Do you think any of these will work out? And so the only one that would really work out was this speed bag. As if you have a hangout, you generally have a couple of tables, whatever it is, and you'll have a speed bag or a heavy bag in the back somewhere. So I thought it was perfect. Now originally we were gonna use two of these windows. The problem is that it would have taken up too much space, and then I wouldn't have had enough space to kind of create that little corner with the speed bag and that little corner with the bar. The other thing is that you can actually kind of switch the bar over and create kind of a different look where you can have a little more space here. If you wanted to do it like that, then you have that same space here. But you have kind of this little bit of an extension. So let's go over how I went about creating this diorama. So let's take out Conor McGregor real quick. So again, went to my memory banks. It was like, so I remember the church we had hardwood floors. I remember the walls. A lot of church walls are real similar in this style, where it's just like wood. As we're discussing this, I told him what, in terms of the final proposal that I gave him, that I would add a door and what else would be part of it. So he agreed to it. And so that window was just, an additional window. I just thought it's pretty cool to have windows on both sides and use that green. Because again, the idea here is that mostly nightclubs or these type of places are usually dark. So you want them as dark as possible. Created this bar using what looks like, just foam. Actually, I put a skinny balsa wood over it so that it has that real feel wood, versus if I would have just done the skinny board, then it would have been more smooth. Or even if I would have taken this paper off then it would have dented easier. So I wanted to kind of give it more of that wood look. So I laced it with just that sheet here and around the whole thing on top, and then put the smaller balsa wood trim here. And then I wanted to go with, in terms of colors, as I'm creating this, I wanted to go with something that kind of grabbed your eye real quick. So I figured black and red is a real good color for that. Then for the shelving, what I did is, I've used this technique before where I kind of carve into the wall. So I take an X-Acto blade kind of at this angle, then I do it at that angle, then I kind of start ripping out and then adjusting as I go. Made these shelves, same thing. This is just balsa wood, and this is trim. So put a little bit of a Mod Podge and some of that, I forgot what this material is called, but so that it looked like as there's movement within the building, these exposed areas will continue to kind of deposit these rocks, I guess, this part of the sheetrock. But what I did is I Mod Podged it, so I put a coat of Mod Podge, put this on, let it dry for a little bit, and put like a thicker coat on top of here. So these should be safe and shouldn't dislodge or anything. The door is same idea here. Just took that skinny piece of, cut out the door, pushed it back a bit, used that same skinny balsa wood that I used for here on here, and just trimmed it out. And that's pretty much what I did. And what I did is I gave it this outer trim, the inner trim, so it gives it a little more depth. So I thought that definitely came out good. This was, for years, I was like, yo, next time I do any temperature diorama, I have to use one of these little crosses. I had it in my stuff, so I put it right above the door. I think it works with what this is. This is actually this wall and this wall created from scratch, painted, carved, the whole nine. That's actually scrapbook paper that I found that I thought looked really good for what I was looking for. It looked like it had stains, and then I just added more the black stains that you see. It's just watered down black paint. Just wanted to make it look like there's some damage to the ceiling, and over the years past damage has kind of messed up the walls a little bit. So the other thing he wanted was, he said he wanted some graffiti on the in here, because apparently he also knows me as a graffiti artist. I'm a graffiti artist here in Boston, and not as active these days, but he knew of me, so he was like, yo, it'd be cool if you can do like a day's, like a piece of graffiti piece inside. Originally I was gonna do it here, but then I just thought, like, aesthetically it would look weird, to have that, but I still wanted to give him peace. So what I did is let's bring this camera around, coffee. So I ended up just kind of putting it on the outside. So let me pull this out a little bit. Come on. There we go. So yeah, so I just ended up doing the piece on the outside. So you could still incorporate it somehow into the shot. But yeah, wanted to make sure that was included. And this is just acrylic paint on the inside, and then a little bit of the paint marker. I used to do all of these pieces with just all the paint marker. The problem is that when it dries and you try to put one color over another one, it was really difficult because the way it dried, the material, the kind of that oily, that sticky paint, so it wasn't really working that way anymore. So now what I do is I just paint it first with acrylic paint, then I come back and I outline it and give it that force field. This blue is called kind of the force field, and just give it that with the paint markers. So that's what I've been doing. And the paint markers I usually use are these guys, which I don't even know if they sell this brand anymore, but it's just an opaque paint marker. It's not, I don't know if this brand exists, but this is the kind of the brand that I use, and I have a shitload of them, and they're all kind of running out. But that's what I did for that. Let me see the window. Same idea here. Here, I said here. I sounded like a Bostonian real quick, but same idea here, where I just kind of framed it on the outside, framed it on the inside as well. I've done that design before, where I cut a little piece on each side so it falls into place, so you kind of got that perfect frame. And then I just I framed in this, I put action figure packaging, then I put this sheet, this green sheet, and then I placed it on here, and then I surrounded it by two pieces of wood here, or just to kind of clamp it in. This is pretty cool. I'm not gonna do it because honestly, I just don't feel like doing it. But what I did is, and this kind of took me a while to figure out in my own head. So if you see here, those little 4 poster sticky things, if you take them out, then this sheet, let's see, this is just a sheet. So you can see it there. So this is a sheet. So if you take this sheet out, what happens is now you have a clear window. And then you can just put the sheet back in and trap it again using the poster sticky stuff. The reason I wanted to do that is because some shots may look a little weird if there's, you know, blues and reds and yellows, and maybe he wants to, you know, shine some light coming in through there and it doesn't look right. Maybe he wants to put something so when, you know, maybe he poses an action figure here, and then you know, he has him looking at something outside the window, but you can't see it too well because of the gels. So by allowing him to remove that piece, and this is just a piece, just one piece of plastic with the gels on them, he then has a clear window, and it still had, and it's not it's not just framed. This actually came with a clear kind of a acrylic type sheet. So it's not just you know, you're taking off these colorful gels and you just have an empty window. There's still that hard plastic there. And yeah, so he sent me this piece, and this is from I think a WWE piece, and it was just this bottom piece. So I created this kind of top piece out of foam, and I glued it to here. So even if he wanted to at some point use this piece for another project, he can just rip this off and it won't damage the original piece. And then what I did is I just kind of, and I've done this before, the way I kind of pegged it in where it just gets pegged into the top, and then the weight of it, I rested it against this piece of wood. And I wanted to kind of make it look like it was just thrown on there so that they can install this, and it was sloppily put together. So that was kind of the idea. The poster I have back there is a cool poster. It's actually Roy Jones Jr. versus Vinny Pazienza. And Vinny Pazienza is a legend here in Massachusetts as a boxer. I mean, legend. So I wanted to throw that poster in. And then just a couple of Budweiser and Sam Adams posters. And again, didn't want to make it stick out too much. I kind of wanted it to be subtle, as this isn't really a bar anymore. It's kind of a hangout. But yeah, and then I was kind of messed this up. But I believe it is, let me see. Okay, we are looking at, I want to say it's 18 inches, right? Yeah, 18 inches across. It is 11 inches deep, and then it is, I believe it's 12 inches tall. 12 inches tall. What he also wanted at some point, he's like, yo man, is there any way you can throw in some beams? And I was like, oh man, that's gonna be tough, because creating a ceiling wasn't part of the deal. So I was just like, how do I do that? So I just created these guys, just piece of foam, just 1 inch by 1 inch, and then I kind of did the whole combing thing, you know, using a comb to kind of give it that. And then so what we have here is now he can kind of put that there, and then I made two for him. He can put this guy there, and now he kind of has that. So if you wanted to do a scene where he's like I don't know, Spider-Man's up there looking down, or Daredevil, or anyone, he now has that ability to do that. And if you wanted to do something where, again, Spider-Man was swinging, he can do that as well. So I was able to do that, and I just kind of wanted to make it look a little fancier on this side, so I just kind of put the border here. And I didn't do that on this side because I also wanted him to be able to kind of spread these out. So if he wanted to, you know, get them kind of closer together for whatever reason, he could do that. If you wanted to, you know, spread them out, he can do that. So for that reason, I didn't put any type of spot here to kind of drop it into, and just made this wall a little taller. Yeah, man, I think that is it. We are at the, almost 15 minute mark. Let's wrap this up. I hope you guys like it. If you have any questions, comments, leave them below, and I'll talk to y'all soon. And I'm out. Peace.